Welcome to our AM yoga flow. We're going to use a block today. If you don't have a block, you don't have to worry about it. I'll show you another option, but I am going to leave it here. So we're going to start in a supine or laying down position, just like we would when we wake up in the morning. So we're going to start, first of all, by grounding into the mat, becoming aware of our breath. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. If you really are just waking, feeling how the breath goes into the lower ribs and the back ribs and maybe pushes down into the mat. Feeling the chest rise with every inhale. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Getting our breath deeper, slower. Exhaling out stale air from shallow breaths during the night. Bringing in fresh oxygen to nourish through the blood to the muscles, the bones, the organs. Now very gently we're going to start to lengthen the legs one at a time until they're all the way down. Now starting to flow our movements with the breath. And the next exhale when that comes, we're bringing the right knee into the chest, holding right behind the knee. Relaxing the low back. Stretching gently. On an inhale, whenever that comes again, stretching the right leg long. Exhaling, bringing the left knee into the chest. Releasing the low back and hips. On an inhale, stretching that leg long, starting to flow side to side on the rhythm of your breath. Exhaling, pulling the knee in. Inhaling, stretching the leg long. On the next one, we're going to bring that knee in, holding it there, taking both knees up into the chest, a double kneaded chest, leaving the tailbone down on the earth, leaving the head down, the whole spine is relaxed. And then bringing our feet onto the mat, keeping our knees about 90 degrees, letting our hands come down to our hips and press down into the earth. On our inhale, pressing the hips up, squeezing the deep belly muscles, engaging the glutes and hamstrings, lifting up into bridge about 180 degrees, about parallel. On an exhale, coming all the way back down. Flowing the bridge with the breath. Lifting on the inhale, pressing through the feet. Exhaling, rolling the spine down, one vertebrae at a time, until the tailbone hits. Keep moving with our breath. And then exhale, rolling down. Now we're going to widen the feet to the outer edges of the mat, letting our arms come out to the sides. And then slowly lowering both knees over to the right, just as much as your body wants to move this morning. On an exhale, bringing that back up into the center. Inhaling both knees over to the left. Exhaling back up to the center. Flowing with the breath once more. Inhaling when we lower. Exhaling when we bring them up. Inhaling when we lower. Exhaling when we bring them up. Now bringing our feet back and we're rolling all the way over onto one side so that we can sit up onto the sit bones. Sitting up nice and tall. So maybe feeling the sit bones on the earth, pulling the shoulders up over the hips and the ears over the shoulders. As we inhale, bringing the right arm all the way up, using the left hand for support, lifting up out of the hips, exhaling down. Inhaling the left arm up, exhaling down. Moving side to side again. Always moving with the breath, uniting the body and the breath. And after this exhale, then we're gently moving ourselves forward to an all-fours position, stacking our shoulders over the wrists and the knees under the hips, spreading our fingers wide like starfish. And then as we inhale, letting the belly drop down toward the earth and the heart and chest rise and open. On the exhale, rounding up, tucking the chin to the tailbone into our cat. So inhaling, dropping down into cow. Exhaling, rounding up into cat. Continue to move with the breath. And then coming back into a neutral spine, we're sitting back on our feet into extended child's pose. So pressing the sit bones toward the feet, reaching our fingertips forward. We could rest the forehead on the mat. We could rest the forehead on a block. We could rest the forehead on the fist. Using child's pose as a place to check in, to recenter, to come back to the breath. So as we stay here in child's pose for a couple more breaths, let's feel the breadth and width of the back on the inhale. And then on the next inhale, feeling the length of the spine from crown to tail. And then on our next inhale, when that comes, bringing our weight forward, stacking our shoulders just shy of the wrists and squeezing the deep belly muscles, taking those two hip points, drawing them toward one another as we draw the belly button up and the pelvic floor up. On an exhale, pressing back into child's pose. And starting to flow that with the breath. Inhaling, a kneeling plank. Exhaling, pressing back child's pose. Starting to build some heat. And exhaling back. This time, before we come forward, we're tucking the toes, and on the inhale, rising up into downward facing dog. Pressing the heels one at a time down into the earth. Our fingers and hands are connected. And then pressing both heels down, squeezing the deep belly muscles, and pressing our sit bones away from our hands. On our next breath, we're taking our right foot and stepping it forward between the hands, dropping the back knee down into a kneeling lunge. This is also a good place to have a block if that feels like something that your body needs this morning. But in our lunge, we're spreading the toes, pressing the foot down into the earth, pressing the knee down into the earth, and drawing them toward one another. Now tucking our back toe under, we're pressing back into downward facing dog, pressing the sit bones away from the hands and pulling the belly in strong. On the next breath, this time taking our left foot forward between the hands, dropping the back knee down, spreading the toes, and pressing the foot down into the earth, pressing the knee down and drawing them toward one another. Tucking the back toe under, stepping forward this time into forward fold. So also a great place to use a block. Our feet are about hips width apart. Our knees are soft. We're hinged at the hips, pressing into the block, maybe pressing into the mat. And then on an inhale, when that comes, rising all the way up. On an exhale, coming halfway down, seated into our chair pose. Bellies are strong and our weight's in the heels. As we inhale, rising up. As we exhale, hinging forward, coming down once more with soft knees. Once more, another place for that walk. We're coming halfway up on the inhale, monkey pose. Lengthening from crown to tail. Exhaling back to the fold. Inhaling, rising up. Exhaling back into chair. Shoulders released down and back. Inhaling, rising up. Exhaling, coming down, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway up, monkey. Exhaling, back down to self. Inhaling, rising all the way up. And exhaling, chair. On the inhale, this time we're lifting, and on the exhale, coming back down into forward fold, and then bringing ourselves down one knee at a time and pressing back into extended child's pose. As we inhale, we're coming back into that kneeling plank position, but this time holding strong, we're going to exhale, lowering ourselves all the way down to the belly. On the inhale, opening heart and chest, cobra, engaging the legs. On the exhale, pressing back, extended child's pose. Once more, moving that with the breath. Inhaling, kneeling plank. Exhaling, hovering and lowering ourselves down to the belly. Inhaling, opening up, cobra. Exhaling back, child's pose. Now this time we are bringing our right foot forward between the hands into that kneeling lunge, tucking the back toe under, stepping up into forward fold. Rising with the breath. And exhaling, chair. You can extend the arms if that feels like a good thing for your body this morning. Inhaling, rising up. Exhaling, coming down, forward fold. Finding all fours once more and pressing back on an exhale, child's pose. On the inhale, coming back into kneeling plank. Strong belly, strong chest. Exhaling, lowering ourselves down to the belly. Inhaling, opening heart and chest. Exhaling back, child's pose. This time we're using our left foot to step forward into that lunge position. Tucking the back toe under and rising up, forward fold. Inhaling, lifting. And exhaling, chair. Inhaling, rising up. On the exhale, coming down, forward fold. Now you have choices. You can step back into downward facing dog, or you could still choose to be in child's pose. You can interchange the positions. On the inhale then, coming forward, plank or kneeling plank. On the exhale, we can hover over the mat and then press up into upward facing dog, or still choose to be on the belly, the cobra. Exhaling back, down dog or child's pose. Using our left foot, stepping forward between the hands, bringing the back foot up, forward fold. Rising on the inhale, exhaling, chair. Saluting the sun once more, inhaling up. Exhaling, forward fold. Stepping hands and feet apart, downward facing dog, or choosing child's pose. On your inhale, coming forward, plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, hovering over the mat or releasing to the belly. And on the inhale, pressing into up dog or cobra. Exhaling, down dog or child's pose. Using our left foot to step forward between the hands, bringing the back foot up, forward fold. On an inhale, rising up. And exhaling, chair. We've got the blood moving, we've got the heat building. We're going to bring ourselves back into mountain pose, pressing palm to palm. Our feet are hips width apart, spreading the toes wide, all four corners of our feet connecting down to the earth. Checking in with the body and breath. Now bringing our left foot, stepping back into a short lunge position, so our hips face the front of our mat like headlights. And on the inhale, rising up, warrior one. Making sure our shoulders are releasing down, our belly is strong, and our feet are pressing that mat into our right foot pressing forward, our left foot pressing back. On the exhale, releasing the arms, straightening the front knee. Now we're engaging our deep belly muscles as we hinge from the hips, walking ourselves down into pyramid, another place to breathe, a block. It brings the floor up to our hands for that pyramid. Using the exhale to scoop the deep belly up into the spine and free that front hamstring. Now we're lowering the back knee down onto the mat and engaging the foot and the knee once more into the mat as we draw them toward one another, engaging the hips, squeezing the belly, and then twisting toward our knee, either resting the hand, reaching the hand, tucking the hand, whatever feels good for your body. Another good place for a block. And then wherever that hand is, releasing it back down to either side of the front foot, tucking the back toe, pressing back into downward facing dog. And this time taking our left foot, stepping it forward between the hands, We're going to drag our back foot forward so that our heel can connect up, climbing up the body back into that warrior one position where our hips face the front like headlights. And we lift the arms on an inhale. On the exhale, letting the arms drop, letting the front knees straighten, engaging the deep belly as we hinge at the hips, maybe even softening the knees as we work down into pyramid, either on the mat, block, you could find somewhere along the leg. And then as we exhale, dropping the back knee down, gluing the knee, gluing the front foot, drawing them toward one another, engaging those deep hip muscles, engaging the belly, and maybe twisting then toward the knee, either resting the left hand, reaching it up toward the sky, or tucking it into the back pocket. The belly's strong, the hips are working, and releasing on exhale. Tucking the back toe, stepping back into downward facing dog, letting the heels drop and the sit bones rise. Now taking the right foot, this time stepping it forward between the hands, letting the back heel connect to the mat. This time as we press up, we're going to let our hips open up to the front corner of the mat, extending both arms into warrior two. So the left heel's pressing back, the front foot's pressing forward. The belly is strong as the pelvic floor rises up, engaging the whole spine. Finding our gaze over the right hand. On our next breath, tucking the right arm in, letting it rest on the leg as we bring the left arm straight up, opening the heart, so stacking shoulder over shoulder. As we lift, we can look at the hand, we can look forward, we can look down. One more breath. And on the exhale, turning right back down into that lunge and stepping back downward facing dog. This time taking our left foot forward between the hands, letting it connect to the earth as our back heel finds the mat, pressing ourselves all the way up, letting the hips face the front right corner of the mat this time as we extend the left and right arms into warrior two. Finding the gaze over the left hand. Letting the shoulders drop and the belly stay strong as the feet press the mat in two directions. And with the next breath, taking the left arm in, bringing the right one up as we open heart and chest. Into our extended angle, our side angle pose. Looking up, looking down, looking straight ahead. On the next breath, turning back into that lunge and pressing back in to downward facing dog. And then walking the feet forward into forward fold. On an inhale, rising all the way up. Exhaling into mountain. So bringing the feet right underneath the hip bones, letting the shoulders drop down. Taking a moment to check in with the body and the breath. Feeling the energy rise from the laying down position to seated, back up. Bringing the hands into heart center, we're finding our gaze on a stationary point, about eye level, shifting our weight onto the left as we bring the right foot. We can take a kickstand, we can rise up to the calf, we can take it all the way up to the groin. And if we want to grow branches for our balancing tree, you can make whatever shape feels good. If you're protecting shoulders today, goalposts are a good option. If you're bringing that energy, if it's getting way too high, you can keep it at heart center. And then releasing with an exhale. Coming back into our mountain, feet under the hips. Shifting the weight this time onto the right foot, bringing the hands to heart center. Refocusing the gaze and bringing the left foot either kickstand, below the knee, or above the knee. Into our balancing tree. Finding that place to focus. Maybe growing branches. Quiet body, quiet mind. And then releasing with an exhale, bringing the hands down, bringing the leg down with intention into our tree. On our next inhale, we're bringing the arms all the way up. On the exhale, hinging down once more into forward fold. Releasing the hamstrings, releasing the head, squeezing the belly up. And then coming down once more into an all fours position, maybe widening the knees if that feels like a good option for you today, to sit back to a wide leg, extended child's pose. We could even stack the forearms and let the forehead rest as we let our adductors open. And coming out once more, lifting ourselves. We're going to sweep the legs to one side, sitting onto the sit bones, bringing the legs to the front, and then straightening both legs. We can always keep the knees bent if we're protecting low back today, but we're sitting up nice and tall, keeping our hips parallel, lifting on an inhale, and on an exhale, hinging forward. Now, it doesn't have to be about letting our nose touch our knee. Let's open our heart this morning. We could even send the arms back. You could even use a strap here around each foot or both feet in our staff pose. On our inhale, letting ourselves come all the way back up, shoulders over hips, bending the right knee, and with our left hand hugging the right knee, taking the right arm behind as we look over the right shoulder into a seated spinal twist, letting that deep belly squeeze in and work down toward the left hip, so that even if we didn't have arms, we'd still be twisted. As we exhale, unwinding from the bottom to the top. Straightening the right, bending the left. This time taking our right arm around the left knee, bringing the left arm behind as we squeeze the low belly, letting it spin down into the right hip, freeing the torso to look over the left shoulder. Unwinding from the bottom to the top on an exhale. Now bending both knees, we're lowering ourselves all the way down, either using core strength or using elbows for support as we lower ourselves all the way down. Bringing our hands next to our hips on the earth and making our knees bend at 90 degrees. On an inhale, letting the hips rise up into bridge. On an exhale, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Once more, breathing through the nose, lifting on an inhale, rolling down on an exhale. One breath, one movement. And then letting the tailbones come down to rest. As we exhale, bringing both knees into the chest, leaving the tailbone down, letting our head rest, softening the belly. And then releasing one leg at a time. Coming all the way back down into that supine position, our final relaxation here, our Shavasana. Letting our arms and legs roll away from the midline, maybe closing the eyes. Knowing that right now in this moment, there's nowhere we have to be, nothing we have to do. Letting all the tension melt out of the body, clearing the space of the mind. Letting our breath come back to normal. And very gently starting to bring movement back into the body. Moving the arms and legs. Shifting the hips over to one side, rolling onto our side and pushing back up onto our sit bones, sitting in an easy seated, comfortable position. Maybe taking our head to look over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder. Coming back into the center, looking down toward the mat. And then letting the eyes go to the top of the wall. And coming back into the center. Bringing our hands into heart center. Namaste.